Greetings, my name is Pastor Graham. I'm coming to you on behalf of the School of Prophets and Teachers of Jesus Christ. This year is 2022. It seems like COVID is kind of dying out, but it just led me to think back on 2020 when COVID was at its height. You had a lot of churches canceling, scared to death. I've never seen so much fear from the pulpit in my life. I don't know where the leader's faith was, but it sure wasn't in their heart. It sure was not over the pulpit. And it was very disheartening. And so I was glad when I have an aunt, Monique. She has a podcast. The podcast is called Don't At Me. It was entitled The Post-COVID Church. And she had a pretty good panel. The panel consists of Bishop Andrew Best of Maryland, Bishop Catherine Moody of Louisiana, Bishop Remsen of Pennsylvania, myself, Monticello, New York, Varon House. I don't know where he's somewhere, everywhere. And Pastor Mark Johnson from St. John's in Albany, New York. And to my surprise, everyone was kind of in unity that it was not mandatory for the church to meet, the church to gather together in one place to worship God, even in the during COVID. They acted as if there was no such thing as leprosy back in the days of Jesus and the disciples. They acted like there was no other disease that, in 2020, this was the first time in history that humanity faced disease. And God's people always met, and they always believed. Even if they might have kept those who showed signs of contagion, they might have kept them out. But they always met. They never canceled church completely. A disease cannot cancel church. And so these are some things that kind of just disturbed my spirit a little bit. First, that I think, except for me, all the panelists were very poised. I guess they sounded polite, very articulate. And I guess, and please feel free to go and check out the podcast. Not only was I agitated, I was shocked. And it showed. And it showed that I was a little angry, a little hyper, because I felt like I was ambushed. I felt like I was ambushed by the unholy, unbiblical spirits that I met over this podcast from fellow pastors. I assume pastors would have faith, more faith than their congregants, more faith than the average person, more faith than my co-workers. I thought that they would have a message of hope and bravery. When we read Hebrews 11th chapter and we see all that great exploits of, it goes from Abel to Enoch to Noah to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and everywhere you see they stand out, they fight, faith is about faith. It's because of their great faith. And I heard these pastors, and they're so smart, they almost sound like doctors. They were like, like a lot, Dr. Fauci's or something, all of them. And I was disheartened. So I'm going to play a little bit of the podcast for you and just kind of, give my little commentary. But it was very disheartening. So I'll give you a little clip of.
We can get real technical and we start speaking Hebrew. I don't speak Hebrew. I speak English. And the Spirit of the Lord told me to speak in English. So I speak in English. So I say it's simple. If I was Yiddish, if I was Hebrew, then I'll speak in some. That's crazy. So that means anything I say about the Bible, according to the Word of God, we can pick it up and say, well, the real meaning of the etymology. That's crazy. That ended up for the Antichrist to come and take over the church. That's nonsense. We got to speak the Word like the Word is. If it was good enough for Elder John Johnson, it was good enough for all the greats that came before me. Guess what, sir? It is good enough for me. And we're going to preach the gospel whether I can read English, Yiddish, or Spanish. You know why? Because the Spirit of God has been here. The Word of God has been here. And it ain't going to change. It's not going to change with these children.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and then I'll back away. Let me ask you this question. If you had 100 people that lived in several different places throughout the world who wanted to tune into your live, and they didn't gather with people in their house, they were watching one by one, would you allow them to be an e-church member of your congregation and accept their tithe?
What I would do, just like what other pastors have done, they would teach that if you have a local congregation or gathering, make sure that you are in fellowship with your brethren, and God will do the rest. God will reveal a neighbor, a boss, somebody who's a fellow believer. So even though they may be getting the bulk of their theology and their support and everything of that sort, yeah, of course I'll accept the tithe and stuff, but I'll still teach the Bible. You got to assemble, brother. I mean, it's just great that you can hear the word and I can encourage you, but I'm going to encourage you. If there's a local pastor I know, I'm going to encourage you to go there for Bible study. If there's God will provide. We just got to step out on faith. No, sometimes it's going to be harder in different areas. New York, in the city of New York, the hardest people still was meeting during the hardest hit time. You know why? Because worship is essential. Our worship to our God is essential. You can't play around with it just because we're so smart and we got these doctors in front of our name. Guess what? I can be illiterate. I don't have to even know how to read it. God,
but I also can worship in my living room, Pastor Graham.
You can, but that's not the assembly. That's not. You are a member of the church. You are not the church in and of yourself. The church is the assembly. That's where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name. There he is in the midst. Not just Monique, it's Monique and others. So let's do Bible. Let's do Bible. We're too smart that we can't even do Bible. But 2 or 3 are gathered together. You're not the church, Monique. We're members of the church. Some are the head, some is the neck, some the tail, some the foot, some the gut. But we are the church. We need each other. But you can't be making your own theology because fear. Yes, I don't want none of my loved ones to die. I don't want none of my members to die. But guess what? Tomorrow they can say, if you're a Christian, we're going to blow your head off. What you going to say? Renounce that you're a Christian because I'm trying to keep my congregation safe. That's crazy.
So if I have the flu, Pastor Graham, should I go to church? Or is it okay for me to stay home?
You should notify your pastor. You should notify your pastor, and your pastor will make provisions where he'll make arrangements that you will stay in fellowship. Whether it's a sister coming outside of your door and say, hey, we're just checking on you, Monique. We just wanted to see you, eye to eye. And they go, that's the assembly. Assembly, we know what assembly is. Read your Bibles. But we're trying to get cute because we're so smart.
We're not trying to get cute. We're in the middle of a pandemic. That's the difference.
No, in the middle of leprosy, in the middle of AIDS, in the middle of a nuclear bomb, God is still God and the church is still the church.
Okay. Well, we're going to end this conversation with our last question.
So you see there that I was a little agitated, and again it was just for shock statement, and Monique did a great job moderating. Like I said, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strong speakers there that was on the panel. But again, it was just very disturbing. I know that I have brought up Job, and we all know the story of Job and how it was revealed that Job had a secret sin. He was self-righteous. He believed that because he followed God, that God had to bless him, and God showed that that was not the case, that whether he blesses you or not, that we are to follow him. Pastor Varon really had a hard time with that, and he's sometimes you can get too smart, where you start talking when you are found out that you're not really understanding, you say, okay, this is Hebrew. And so it was just a